Careful digging up that treasure. Don't.
More tropes. Just more tropes. All right. Hey, let's get out of here before John starts saying anything worse.
None of this is in the show. Or all this is in the show.
I don't know. I'm not editing anything. New year.
Perfect.
Do you feel like you're a goof off now?
What do you mean? Like in life?
Well, compared to that phase of your life.
Oh.
Do you feel like, I'm a goof off? Or
no, I mean, if I would be able to take it seriously and put the work in now, yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yeah.
What is the show about? All right, hey.
I don't know.
We should record. We're just going to talk. We haven't talked in so long. We're just going to small talk all the way through the...
Wait, is the hiatus over? Have we begun again?
Hey, welcome back to another episode of 1980s Now, also known as John's Other Podcast. I should just say that. Welcome back to John's Other Podcast. Well, this version of John's podcast is a weekly examination of 1980s pop culture and its influence today. My name is Will. Joining me as always are Kat and John, whom I already mentioned. Hey, guys.
Hi, guys.
Hey. I'm so glad we're back. I missed it.
I did too.
Mm-hmm.
Even though we kind of were in group chat most days, but
it's different.
It's not the same.
Recording, it's not the same.
I feel really rusty.
You say that every week. Oh, it's been a whole
That's
month.
true.
I have an excuse. I feel like I need to do a few. What are like those things we would do like in acting class?
Shake it out. Exercise your instrument.
Get the energy out. Put your pants on, John.
Watch it there.
All right, let's get back on track and do a good show. Here we go.
Were we on the track?
Right. Oh, a good show.
Hey,
finally.
Let's start all over again. Hey, on today's show, we're going to talk about the movie tropes that populated 1980s films. You know, those, it's a little hard to describe or define what they are, and we can talk about that later. But we'll just say for now, they're the overused characters, plot devices, scenes that are often shorthand for something more. Like it could be a pocket protector in the high school kid's shirt, or it could be having the damsel fall down when she's being chased by the movie monster. Stuff like that. It could be other types of things, but we're going to talk about that. The ones we love, the ones we hate, the ones that should never illuminate a movie screen ever again. And we also asked for your input, and we're going to share a number of the tropes that you messaged us about on social media. Before that, though,
some things never change.
But first,
I've been listening to these classes online, and oh my gosh, within 3 minutes, so many things that they were going to get to later. And I get that. Like, John, you've probably had maybe, based on your videos, I would guess that you've had this kind of training where it's like, I can't remember what the steps are. It's like, tell me what you're going to tell me it, and then ask me if I know it, something like that, or like the 3 steps to educating something about something.
That's Marshall McLuhan. So I went to media school. It's tell them what you're going to tell them, then tell them what you told them.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
But for crying out loud, just tell me already.
But you do have to do the middle step at some point. You do have to actually tell me, please. Right.
But if you just tell me, you wouldn't have to. I know it's about retention. It's about retention. And no one needs to retain any of this. It's all a bunch of garbage, but whatever. Anyway, my point is that later, not now, we're going to talk about 1980s or news stories, current news stories related to 1980s media, including a sequel 40 years in the making. A pop legend will tour. Hip hop legends will stream, finally. And the Indiana Jones sequel we deserve. Time codes are in the show notes if you'd like to skip around.
Handy.
As I realized, I just say before a lot. Before we move on, hey, I wanted to make a quick announcement here. So our topic, by way of an announcement, and also giving, why am I out of breath? It's because I did, this is what it's like to be almost 52 and to just shake my hands a little bit. I am winded.
I'm going to have to lie down.
It looked like you had a little full body action there.
Yeah, well, I was doing the shoulder thing.
Yeah.
You just get those arms and the shoulders really relaxed. But I got to take a drink of water here.
Regroup. Deep breath.
I need like a good
cleanse.
Full breath. So look, by way of an announcement and also sort of explaining how we arrived at our topic today, our topic was inspired by Dreamkid, the musician, social, what do they call these folks? social influencer. What are those? What, media? What?
Yeah.
Sure. Well, content creator.
Content creator. There you go.
Yeah,
Musician,
some kind of
content-
influencer, creator, sure.
Yeah, he grew from 2,000 to 100,000 followers in 5 weeks on Instagram due to these popular short videos that he does where he scores a 1980s movie trope. So there you go. There's the tie-in there.
Yep.
That's
Well,
so cool.
So that's the tie-in there. And by way of or the announcement portion of this is to tell you that we've listened to you, and I've listened to John and Kat and my wife.
Really?
And we are carving. I know, right? Like I didn't just listen to my own ideas for once. But
Finally.
going forward, we're going to carve out the interview portion of the show. So to the extent that we have any interviews at any given on a particular given week, and we won't have them every week, but they will be arriving, be published on a different day as separate from the show. Which gives you more time to hear us, which is, you told us you wanted that.
Who said that?
But also a chance to hear us chat with some
Literally
really
everyone.
interesting folks. And this week, later in the week, you're going to hear my conversation with Dreamkid, because Dreamkid just published his debut self-titled album, Dreamkid, on Outland Recordings. You can find it anywhere you stream your music, or you can get a cassette, a CD, or a vinyl print
Nice.
of it on Bandcamp. So, yeah.
I
And
look forward to this interview.
yeah. Look, great guy, talented, certainly talented. Because as I mentioned, he does this thing on Instagram.
I've watched them. They're really cool.
You can't miss them.
Anyway, but that it did remind me that once again, it's time to play.
I'll grab them by the balls and squeeze till they're dead.
Oh.
So that has nothing to do with. Look, that's from a movie, The Big Picture.
I don't want to play.
It was the game is about movies. So I was like, what is an 80s film that's about making of movies? And Big Picture was the first one that came to mind. And Martin Short does this character that's just iconic in the film.
Oh, okay. All right.
Okay.
So as I mentioned, Dreamkid takes a trope and scores it, and you can see it right there. It's little short things, and I'll ask him all about that when we talk to him later this week. But so I have a game for us, and I'm going to play along. I don't know. So you guys, you don't have to worry. I'm not tossing you under the bus, because I'm going to play along. Our off-screen or behind-the-scenes producer Lonnie put this together, so I don't know the answers.
Wow.
So I have 3 clips of Dreamkid's, score that we've done here, and I've got 4 tropes. So we're going to hear a clip and see if we can determine out of these 4 tropes which one goes with the audio.
Awesome.
All right. So I'm going to ahead of time. I'm going to tell you what these are, and again, I haven't seen this yet, so I don't know what it is.
All right.
Okay.
So here's one. It's 1983. You've just moved into a new neighborhood, and the girl next door is the prettiest girl you've ever seen.
Okay.
All right. So that's 1983. Pretty girl.
Okay.
Something romantic, maybe. It's 1982. You've been in a slump, but you've just joined the gym, and you're ready to make your ex regret leaving you.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay. I had the tiger.
It's
Yeah, right?
1984, and you and your lover jump into a convertible and run away to a new town without telling anybody.
Whoa.
Okay.
Something thrilling.
Or it's 1981, and you're in the city getting chased by corrupt cops.
Oh.
Okay.
All right, so here's
I've heard
clip
of
number 1. Let's see if we could figure out if it's which one of these it is.
Okay.
Okay. It's not the romantic one.
Okay.
No,
None of these romantic
it feels corrupt
ones?
copy to me. Yeah.
I'm thinking maybe,
Wait.
huh.
Go ahead. What?
Oh, so you got the gym, you've got leaving town,
Okay.
Yeah, it's not leaving town. It's
pretty
not pretty
girl
girl.
next door, and corrupt cops.
It could be hitting the gym. It's kind of minor key-ish,
Yeah.
which made me think cop being chased by the cops.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm leaning towards gym or leaving town.
I thought
I
John
don't
was
think it's
going to
leaving
say
town.
minor key is connected to somehow going to the gym.
He's
No,
sad.
no,
Yeah, no one wants to go to the gym.
No.
So melancholy.
No. It's very sad.
Who's happy after that? All right, so John was leaning towards gym a little bit. I was too. Let's say gym for that. What do you got, Kat?
I was sort of thinking maybe leaving town. Maybe.
All right, here we go. Number 1 is
right.
being chased by corrupt cops. John was right.
Ding, 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 ding. There we go.
Gosh.
There we
Nice.
go. A minor key did it. Yep.
Wow.
All right, so let me take
Okay.
that one out. All right, so okay, here's clip number 2. Let's see what this is from
All right.
Dreamkid. thinking maybe Pretty Girl, like you see her and like, oh, wow.
Yes. It sounds so sparkly and
Yeah.
very
Oh, no,
wow.
no. This is Leaving Town.
You think this is,
If John gets all these right.
he's gonna.
I think it's Leaving Town. I think it is.
Okay. I say girl next
Because
door.
it started kind of adventurous, and then it got into like this beat in it, and I'm like, oh, well, now they're on the road and they're cooking. No, and
Hey,
not telling
there
anybody.
could be involved in Pretty Girl admiration.
Are you saying Pretty Girl also, Kat?
Yeah, I think so.
All right, number 2 is You're Leaving Town. Oh my gosh.
Ladies and gentlemen,
How is he
Twofer.
doing this?
And you didn't even want to play.
All right.
that's what it was about, grabbing and squeezing. I
yeah.
want to play.
He was
That's
worried
true.
about his.
Yeah.
Yes, okay.
He was,
It was the consequences I was not
Right.
interested in, not
Well,
the game
yeah, that's
itself.
if you get him wrong. That's what happens.
oh no.
All right.
That's why I'm getting them right, to ensure that doesn't
Here's the
take
final
place.
one.
He needs the proper motivation.
We're down to Jim and Pretty Girl Next Door.
That'll be easy.
That's Pretty Girl. Pretty Girl.
Yeah.
I gotta hear the rest of it.
Oh, yeah, that's the key. John waits. He's very patient.
Yeah, it's not
Oh.
raucous enough to be Jim.
No.
Yeah,
Okay.
If it's Jim, I'll be stunned.
I'm
Wait a
just
minute.
going to go with John anyway, because he's...
If it's going to the gym, it's not very good. I'm Pretty Girl.
All right, I'm saying Pretty
Jim
Girl. Kat saying Pretty Girl. You've just joined the gym. Ah, son of a gun, John.
Yeah,
Streak.
It's a bad one. It's a bad one.
but
yeah,
but even
that didn't
still-
sound very Jimmy.
But still, John was like, it's got to be the gym. But sorry.
But
let
it's
me
a
play it
bad
again.
one.
Yeah, but it's
so
a bad
yeah,
one.
he not
Yeah.
only knew it was the gym, but he
Right.
okay.
All right, so here is the Pretty Girl clip though that we didn't hear.
Okay. All right.
Oh, kind of heart throbbing.
Maybe what she's also a vampire. Maybe she's a pretty girl,
Yeah.
but he notices she has a fangs and a tail. I don't know. All right, I kind of get it. I think I kind of get it.
Nah, no.
Yeah,
She's
there's
out
a
of your
little-
reach, that kind of thing. Maybe so. It's
Little interest, little intrigue there. Yeah.
Yeah, just it doesn't sound that pretty. That's all I can say.
all right. Well,
Can't
anyway,
let Dreamkid hear this. You're putting down his.
look, we can talk about this. We'll talk to Dreamkid in a little while. And you notice the kind of music that this is. It's called synthwave, and it's a new genre of music that it makes you feel like the 1980s. It makes you nostalgic for that era, but it isn't a kind of top 40 music that we had during that era. Instead, it's more like it's more akin to a John Carpenter score than Duran Duran.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Yes. Yes.
very much.
It's movie music.
And on a Dreamkid's album, he's fleshed out a number of these. They're full length songs, and on a good number of them, he's actually sings too. They have lyrics as well. It's not just
Wow.
instrumental. So, hey, let's let's move the show away from that and on to 1980s news. How about that? We got a lot of it. Yeah. All right. So hey, this week in 1980s news, and look, several of these news items maybe came out during the hiatus. Like, I don't know if you mentioned it on the show, John, but we've had dozens of stories that we had to just wait anxiously to speak about. But anyway, so
Yeah.
You do the edit. How do you not know if that's going to make the edit?
I just don't remember if we were recording yet. I think we were
like-
recording.
I haven't decided if I'm going to cut that part out, John.
Well, we'll see.
Depends on
If
what else you said.
Yeah, exactly. If you have any other gems that gets knocked down. Right now, it's primo stuff that you said earlier about.
Thank you. Yeah.
Hey, anyway, so Hulu has released a trailer for History of the World Part 2. And I'm super excited about this. Of course, the original History of the World came out in 1981. It teased that there was going to be a sequel that would include Jews in space and some sort of and Hitler on ice and a number of other things that I don't know if they're going to be in this or not because they don't show up in the trailer. But it would be great callbacks if he somehow tied it together.
Yeah.
Instead of being a film, this Hulu show is going to be a series, an 8-episode sketch series that will take a tour through the past with Mel Brooks, returning to provide us with his distinct comic sensibility.
Wow. So it's not a movie.
No.
Wow.
Yeah.
Huh. Okay.
And the 96-year-old Brooks stars in the series along with contemporary comedians Nick Kroll, Wanda Sykes, and Ike Barinholtz, who are also writers and producers on the series.
Boo koodles of people in this. I mean, when Mel Brooks calls, nobody says no, is what this tells me.
Right.
Mel Brooks, would you like to be in it? Yes. What is it? I'll be there.
Yes, John, you're right, because the list is, and I thought the same thing when I read this list. Well, you see the trailer, you see a number of folks, you're like, oh, they're in it too? And by the way, the trailer I thought looks in keeping with the tone of the first film, but in an updated way, like that kind of great sort of balance we've talked about on the show where when you're looking to revisit an old franchise or something, it's that sweet spot.
I think I caught a glimpse of Rufus from Timeless in the trailer.
Oh, I'm trying to remember. I think you might be right.
I'm pretty sure I spotted him. Yeah.
I think you're right. Yes. Yeah.
It's a star-studded cast of people that he's got on this thing. When I saw it, it also reminded me, I don't know why History of the World Part 1 reminds me of, there's a horrible movie called Holy Moses.
Yes.
If you've seen that. It's like Dudley Moore, Richard Pryor.
Oh.
Yeah, it's holy like WHOLLY, like entirely Moses. I think it was like a copycat. There's a great film like History of the World. This was like a copycat of that, but it's one of those historical farces. It also looked a lot like the modern Drunk History series that kind of has that, all these guest stars and that kind of thing. But it looks, I don't know how it could be bad. It's got Mel Brooks and all those great comedians in it. It should be fun no matter what.
How could it be bad? Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, among the many, look, I don't have all the actors here because there were too many we would be, but it includes Pamela Adlon, Julian Bell, Dove Cameron, Darcy Carden, Ronnie Chang, Rob Corddry, Danny DeVito, David Coveney,
Yay.
Kumail Nanjiani, Emily Ratajkowski, Seth Rogen, Sarah Silverman, on and on, Johnny Knoxville, on and on and on.
Yep.
It's going to premiere on March 6th, and it's going to air over 4 consecutive days. And in the trailer, much like the Holy Moses that John refers to, you see a number of historical figures being lampooned, including Jesus, Noah, Harriet Tubman, Sigmund Freud, Abraham Lincoln.
And somehow in the trailer, they're all introducing themselves. I hope that's actually in the series, that wasn't extra B-roll they shot, that they're like, obviously, I'm Jesus.
Right.
I'm whoever. They're like saying the name of who they are in character to tell you who they are. And I think that's an extra funny thing that I noticed.
Yeah, almost like to make sure the audience knows who they are in case they're not.
Exactly.
Nowadays, people don't know stuff.
It's like, it's Marco Polo. It'll sound better in the pool.
Right.
I got that in the trailer.
Yes.
That's right.
Okay. Hey, in other 1980s news, according to a giant freaking robot exclusive, Back to the Future Netflix series is in development. And Giant Freaking Robot writes, according to our trusted and proven sources. Once again, you cannot find another. Their sources must not tell anybody anything else because no one else is reporting on this. So.
There you go.
Just as a reminder that there's some bullshit sources of pop culture out there, and Giant Freaking Robot is on one of them.
And we're not one of them.
There you go. For the masses. You learned it here. Hey, in real news, however, as Hollywood reported by The Hollywood Reporter, Madonna biopic is dead.
She was going to direct that, wasn't she?
She was, yeah.
I heard, yeah.
What I didn't know, though, at the time was that she has directed other films.
I feel like I knew
2 other feature films named her as director, including Filth and Wisdom, a 2008 dramedy set in the UK, and 2011's W.E., a historical romance about King Edward VIII's abdication of the British throne to marry American divorcee Wallace Simpson.
What?
I just have to say that when you said she directed Filth and Wisdom, I thought you were listing her 2 films.
That's what I thought too. And then I decided, it must be this podcast for me. There's Filth and Wisdom that I need to
that sounds
out.
like 2 films Madonna would direct. Filth and the amazing follow-up. I don't
bookends to her career.
Oh, that's deep.
Yep.
Nice.
So it's no longer in development at Universal Pictures. It was first announced in 2020 that the singer was going to chronicle her career, which spans almost 4 decades. And has gone far beyond music into art, movies, fashion. She's influenced a number of other areas as well. Of course, she burst onto the scene in our Vogue. Yes, they gave us, and lost a lawsuit for sampling a song in Vogue. But she burst onto the scene during our favorite decade in the 1980s and established herself as the queen of pop, married to, of course, the king of pop, Michael Jackson. Husband of Mike.
Royalty.
Right. And their son, Prince. I don't know.
Hey, I get it. So, show of hands, who's disappointed that the Madonna biopic is canceled? Anyone?
Yeah.
And there's why it's canceled. Who cares?
It's got to be, right? Well, some folks are speculating that it was canceled because she announced a massive tour. Although multiple sources, according to Hollywood Reporter, say that that's not true, that it was actually put in a turnaround late last year. So before the tour was even going to be announced or was planned.
Doesn't make sense. You would synergy that. You would go, oh, well, I'm going to roll the tour into the documentary, make it part of it, make one subsidize the other, tax shelter, blah, 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 blah. No, that doesn't ring true. If you're going to do two things, you're going to roll them together and help them support one another. I think there wasn't Madonna's fantastic. She's a fantastic artist. Loved her in the 80s. She kind of went bananas later in life, I felt like. But take nothing away from her. I don't need to see her biopic necessarily.
Yeah.
Maybe that's me. Madonna fans are mad. Sorry, Kat.
I'm fine without the biopic. I if somebody put it in front of me, I'd watch it.
Like Clockwork Orange style? Is that what you mean? They put it in front of you. What scenario is this? We have no say over what you're watching.
If you blink, you die.
And then Madonna? I think, John, you're maybe onto something because, and unlike the film, the series or whatever it was planned to be, because there was some talk maybe it needed to be a series because her life they were just trying to cover too much. But film or series, the story that it was canceled in reaction to the tour seems less believable than the fact that she scheduled the tour after the film was canceled. Because
now I have free time.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because now, look, like we mentioned, Madonna released an announcement video, sort of with a nod to her film Truth or Dare. There was a bunch of special guests prompted her with a challenge. Quote, I dare you to do a world tour and play your greatest motherfucking hits, is what the people encouraged in this video. Well, to celebrate the 40th anniversary of her breakout single Holiday, she is embarking on her first ever greatest hits tour.
Okay.
It turns out that in the past, she has avoided doing some of her hits on tour because she was just sick of them. I would hate to be at that show. Where you're like, do Holiday! And she's
play the hits. Absolutely. That's what people... You go live. Right. Look, nobody says, welcome to our show. Here's some experimental stuff we're working on. No.
Yeah.
No. Free bird. We want to hear the hits every time we go. You can play your own stuff as long as that's with the new stuff, Right.
Exactly. Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
You got to play the hits.
Intermingle it with the stuff that we all want to hear. Yeah.
See, Madonna, that's why we don't want to see your damn biopic because you won't play the hits.
Yeah. Did Duran Duran just do the hits, Kat? Or
No, they did a mixture. They did plenty of hits, and they had some of their newer, from their newest album, from Future Past, in there, which for me were hits because I love that album. But interestingly, I saw some chatter on Twitter from somebody who was complaining about Duran Duran playing any of their hits. He said, yawn. I want to hear them play. And he was naming some of the more obscure songs, which I wouldn't mind personally, but the hits.
But not at the exclusion of the hits, right?
Exactly.
Not don't play the hits, right?
Oh my gosh, yeah.
And they're not hits for a reason, right? I mean, these B-sides were, they're fine.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Supporting material. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
So now she's got this, tour coming up called the Celebration Tour. It's going to span 40 years of her career, which was, to your point, John, that's what the film was supposed to be about.
Yeah.
She's going to bring this tour to 35 cities across North America and Europe. And she said, quote, I am excited to explore as many songs as possible in hopes to give my fans the show they've been waiting for, end quote. So she knows that's what people have wanted.
Yep.
In fact...
Okay.
I love Madonna, 1980s Madonna, a little bit into the 1990s Madonna.
Yeah.
Even was it Ray of Light, that album? I had that one. That's a good one too. But I wasn't aware of, she performed as recently as 2019.
Oh, wow.
Not my town.
She did what they refer to in this article as a theater-based Madam X show, which was promoting her 2019 album, Madam X. What?
Okay.
Anyway, I told my wife, Madonna's on tour. My wife and I love Madonna. She loves Madonna more than I love her. All right. I'm pretty sure she saw Madonna on tour.
Wow.
Ooh, nice.
Back in the 80s or 90s. So she was like, we have to go. And I was like, I don't know. I just, part of it is for me too, is, and I don't want to sound like I'm shaming anyone in any regard. And so I don't really know how to talk about this. But when I see Madonna on social media, and it seems to be a resurgence of her in social media in the last couple of years, she doesn't look anything like herself anymore.
No.
It seems like she's fighting to still look youthful.
I think, she's not leaning into her maturity. I feel like she's trying to go backwards.
Age with dignity, like Will does.
Thank you, John. Yes.
You don't dye your beard. You know. Yeah, it looks good. It looks good on you. A little salt and pepper, dignified.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, adjust the hairpiece. Perfect. See?
Yep.
Dignity.
If I didn't know that it was Madonna, I don't think I would know that it's Madonna by the visuals. Yeah, go ahead, John.
I don't know if I want to say it anymore. I don't know how it's going to come out. I don't know. I'll just say it. We'll edit it, or I'll get canceled. I don't know which.
Yeah.
Oops.
I mean, whatever it is that makes you feel comfortable in your own skin, okay, do that.
Yes.
Sure.
But
Yeah.
I am owed that same reciprocity that if that naturally repels me, that's my right too.
Oh, I see.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
You see? And it's like, I totally do what you want to do, get the plastic surgery you want. But if I look at it and I go, don't get upset with me.
Right.
That's, this is my skin I'm in, and this is how I feel about it. Just like you were adamant about how you felt about it. And like you said, Kat, when I see Madonna now, I'm like, what happened?
Yeah.
Are you okay?
Yeah.
Hey, it's been great being on the show, everybody. Thanks for the time here.
Hey, wait, he logged off.
I canceled myself.
That uncanny, does that apply here?
Yes, that is. Yes,
It's-
that's what they refer to when they do like a CGI human. There's something where you disconnect from it.
That uncanny valley.
Yeah. It's like, ooh, it's
Yeah.
not quite. Yeah. Yeah.
You're like, wow, you're almost Madonna. But it's just not quite there, right?
Here's the thing for me. Mostly it makes me feel sad for her in a sense because look, I've struggled with some sort of body dysmorphia for a long time where you think you see yourself in one way that other people telling you don't look that way, you know?
Right,
so it could be that, it could be some self-esteem issue and it may be none of those things. But my hope is that if she's doing those things to try to hold on to something or she feels like she's lacking something, I wish she had it because everybody deserves that sort of love and, adoration without having to go to extremes.
I do respect though. Yeah. I respect that she's doing whatever's right for her. If this is what's right for her, and if this is helping her feel good about herself, then that's cool. But it's definitely a little uncanny or unnerving a little bit. I'm not quite sure.
Yeah, to your point, Kat. I mean, I don't know. I don't know if the guy mentioned her age. I don't know if it's in here, but I think she's like 63 years old or something like that. So hey, in that sense, she's to be admired for still being out there and doing a concert, 35 cities. I hope to have that sort of. I got winded earlier in the show for shaking my hands. All right. Hey, speaking of music from the 1980s, this is a very exciting story to me. It's reported by Variety. And it's perhaps the best story of 2023 so far among the dozens that John may or may not have talked about earlier in the show. De La Soul's music is finally coming to streaming services in March. So if you don't know, we've talked about it on and off some other prior episodes. De La Soul has been absent from streaming services, and in particular, their debut album from 1989, 3 Feet High and Rising, has been absent Apple and all their competitors because of various legal battles. But for the first time, it's going to be available as of March 3rd, which, not coincidentally, is the 34th anniversary of the release of the debut.
Oh, that's cool.
And a resounding yawn echoed through the halls of all the music pirates.
Wait, what?
That's only if you're waiting for it to be on a streaming service. If you have it,
I see what
and it's already downloaded,
Yeah.
it's like, oh, it's on a streaming service? I'm streaming it now. It's only if you are a prisoner to those streaming services content.
Right. Yeah.
Yes, that's true, John. But you know what? And the part of it that excites me is I know that as a result of this, they haven't seen any money.
Yeah.
And I think, if I recall, and maybe we talked to Professor KJ Green about this a while ago, but if I recall, and I think they've renegotiated things now, it's part of this story, but originally, they had this contract that they negotiated pre-streaming. It was in the late 1980s. We didn't know that we'd have this. So I think they said something like, even if they get to stream, they're going to make something like 3 cents, like for every million dollars, something ridiculous.
Right.
Like they're going to basically make no money. But so anyway, that's what I'm most excited about these guys, because that album is just truly groundbreaking. I'd put it up there with Paul's Boutique and It Takes a Nation of Millions to Hold Us Back, Public Enemy. In those albums that used, samples to create whole other sounds. Now, in their case, unfortunately, it was still done during that Wild West age of samples where nobody was quite sure what they needed to do.
Yeah, right.
And it couldn't have been on the burden on the musicians to know. It should have been on the record label, which was Tommy Boy at the time. And I don't know if the fault necessarily lies with them, but the samples were not cleared. So part of this getting to them a streaming service was cutting all these deals, I imagine, with the actual copyright holders.
Yeah.
With songs like Me, Myself, and I, Say No Go, The Magic Number.
Yeah.
The album was certified platinum, reached number 1 on the Billboard R&B and hip hop charts, and it was number 24 on the Billboard 200 album charts. So the catalog, which has been held up for decades, as I mentioned, by these various legal challenges, including a sample clearance issues, was acquired by Reservoir Media as part of its acquisition of the Tommy Boy Records catalog. And I read somewhere, I believe the deal they made was for like $100 million to acquire this catalog. The group told Variety in 2021 that they were thrilled with the deal with Reservoir, noting, and at that time I should mention, they thought the music was going to be available, I believe, that November. So November of 2021.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So yeah, that didn't happen. But they were thrilled with the deal with Reservoir, noting that, quote, business was done fair and with regard to how unique the situation was, end quote. So I think it's moving forward because maybe the guys are getting cut in on the deal now too, in addition to getting all these samples cleared.
That would be great.
Anyway,
Wow.
yeah, I've
So
had
about a month.
Yeah.
No, it's about a month away, right?
Yeah. Yep.
About a month,
Yep.
yeah.
But you're right, John. I had the CD. I ripped them off CD,
Sure.
So I have them on my phone already, but and have for years. Hey, and finally, as reported by Variety, Kiwi Kwan says short round Indiana Jones spinoff would be, quote, incredible. So look, we've talked about him a few times now, but his Kiwi Kwan's acting comeback is short to hit a new peak later this year at the Oscars, where, and I know John made some comments about this the last time we talked about this in December as he shakes his head now.
Dare.
What's that?
I wouldn't dare make comments about it.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah. Good thing we
You
were.
also wouldn't dare make faces that Will maybe didn't see a moment ago.
No, he's busy reading.
What was that about
Please,
Kiwi?
carry on.
Yes.
Yeah,
He was
I saw
going,
him shaking his head. Yeah. Well, regardless of how John feels, because he's not an Academy voter, but Kiwi's actor
For
is
good
currently
reason.
the front runner to win the Best Supporting Actor prize thanks to his performance in Everything Everywhere All at Once,
Magnificent.
which John referred to as, quote, lackluster. But what's
I said no such thing. I said no such thing. I did not.
now we goad him into saying what he did say.
To protect myself, what I said was.
See how that works?
See there? Wait, I got to defend myself. I said, is it possible that we're just all so happy for him and enamored that that's why we're all voting for him, which is okay too if we'll just admit that's the reason.
Right.
To that end,
Yes. It's possible.
what are we going to do with a short round movie?
What? That's blasphemous.
What's that going to be?
Love it.
What?
We're just going to love it. That's all we need to do.
What is just love that you imagined it could be a thing? What sort of story is that? Well, Indiana Jones is not going to be in it.
Exactly.
Is it going to be? He's gonna ride a mine cart around town and save people. What's he gonna do?
That's his only skill? It's been 38
What else?
years since. You think he still has boxes tied to his feet to drive a car?
If he's short still. If he's driving a big car, maybe.
Yeah. Wait.
Look, you're right, John.
Just because you can. Did no one watch Jurassic Park?
Yes.
Just because you can do it. Did you stop and think if you should do it?
I have that tramp stamped on my back.
Do you? Yeah.
It's a warning.
With barbed wire around it.
It's a warning of sorts. Just because you can.
Oh, goodness. Please don't.
But, John, you're right. Harrison Ford's not going to be in it. The upcoming, what's it called? The Dial of Destiny? I almost said Daisy of Destiny. I think I'm thinking of De La Soul still, the Daisy Age.
Oh,
Yes.
The Dial of Destiny is going to be his swan song. But this would be a way to extend or get an Indiana Jones character in other films like it without recasting Indiana Jones. And you still have an original. It's that kind of thing you're talking about over, many times. A way to continue it by leveraging something from the original, but making new. I think that's.
Oh, I have heard John say that.
Yeah.
I have. But is Short Round? Look, I love the actor. Love Quan.
Clearly.
I think he's having his moment in the sun. I take nothing from him, but
Put an umbrella over him, though. Get him out.
why
of the
does
sun.
that need a Short Round movie? I just don't. What would you do with it? I can't imagine.
You do the same thing you do in
imagine.
Indiana Jones. He's going
But he's
after a
not
thing.
Indiana
You get it-
Jones. That's
But
not who he is. He's not that character. He doesn't play that role. He's not another swashbuckling adventurer. He was a little kid who was helping out Indy in little ways that little kids can. That doesn't make him the next Indiana Jones.
But he could have, short round. Kiwi was asked about this. What would
he has a
Short
name,
Round be
yeah.
up to? And he said, quote, I have no idea where he is. Check with John.
Exactly.
All right, he didn't say that.
Yeah.
Check with John.
Exactly.
He said, I have no idea where he is.
If it's not obvious based on the trajectory the last time you saw the character where he would be, then what's going to spark my imagination to go see him be that?
Okay, well, what he goes on to say is, just because he looks after Indy so much, I wouldn't be surprised if he was an archaeologist. End quote. So it could be, look, we don't know how much longer he spent time with Indiana Jones after that, you know?
How much time do you think Indiana Jones spent with Short Round after that adventure was over?
Well, in the Temple of Doom.
Indy had shit to do.
But Temple
he had
of
to
Doom.
Get back to the. No.
Well, wait. In Temple of Doom, if you remember the opening, we're led to believe this other character who is an older guy who dies, that they had been adventuring together for a while.
Spoiler alert.
Right? And he dies in his arms and says something about on the life's last big adventure, I go first when he dies. Mm-hmm. And then we meet Short Round. So
make sure Short Round gets a sequel. My last wish.
All right, John's not being reasonable. I don't know why he's being triggered about this, except he hates Kiwi Kwan.
Not true.
I'm just still stuck back when John said something about him having his moment in the sun, and Will said, and you're putting an umbrella over him.
Yeah, get out of there. Put the sunblock on. SPF 100. Give me that award. Did you see your film? You're lackluster. Look, I know what you're saying. What you're really saying.
None of that true. Listener, you know what Will's like. You know what he's doing to me.
You know what I know what you're really saying, John. What you're saying he's not Indiana Jones, but what you're really saying is he's not Harrison Ford. And I get that. There's certain aspects of Harrison Ford that are charismatic and compelling in a way that maybe Kiwi Kwan isn't. Mm-hmm. That's what you're really saying. And that's the same reason you feel like, maybe his performance, although it was great in that film, among the other competitors isn't Oscar worthy.
If that's what you think I mean, then that's what I'll mean.
I'm being sincere. Isn't that what you mean?
Not necessarily. No, look, okay. I think Kiwi Kwan should get movie deals. I think he's a fantastic actor. I think he has proven that in recent things. It just doesn't need to be a Short Round movie. You don't need to just, because he appeared in that film, you have to continue Indiana Jones with him. Give him deals, give him films.
Right, I got an idea. I got an idea.
Spinning up Short Round.
And I got an idea. And in a couple of weeks, we're going to speak with Joel Thurm, who is a guy you've never heard of, but it absolutely 100%, I guarantee you, affected your entire youth.
Oh,
but because as a casting director in Hollywood, and we'll talk about that. But one of the things that I learned reading Joel's book is how important casting is, right? No surprises to you. And how these moments where some actor was cast and then fired and another actor was cast. What if, so I understand how critical that is in that sense that, and again, I think maybe what you're saying is he's not Harrison Ford. What if we had a Short Round film, but we recast him? It's not Kiwi Kwan. It's pick some other modern actor around the same age who's just really hot right now.
No, I just don't. It's not the Harrison Fordness.
Okay,
it's the continuation of that character that, while enjoyable, was not a centerpiece of a film character, and I don't see that happening even now with the actor in his current age. Yeah, it's the character.
We could talk about this for so long. What if
we could? We have actually. We already have.
We have. Some would say too long. All right. Okay. All right. Moving on. All right. Hey, that was 19. What? You got something else?
I'd go see it.
Yeah, me too. All right.
There you go. All right. 2 tickets. You got 2 tickets.
There you
go.
Green light.
19. All right. That was 1980s news. Hey, our independent podcast is brought to you every week by folks just like you. So if you'd like to help us out, please follow us on the podcast platform you're listening to right now. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Share an episode on Facebook. All of these actions just take a moment and are 100% free. But if you'd like to chuck in a buck and help us keep publishing the show week after week, please visit us at 1980snow.com/support to find out how you can send us $1 or $2. And thank you so much. It means a lot. All right. So, hey, this is what we're going to do, right?
Uh-oh.
Wait, there's more?
We're going to talk about something else. I don't know. This show's going to be 2 hours today. And that's fine. I don't even care anymore. I'm going to talk to you guys.
Will, easy. Don't get out of breath, buddy. Relax.
Yeah, I know. God, as you say that, as I'm like, this is the routine. I get some oxygen. I get some H2O or whatever's in air. It's not all oxygen. We would die, I think, if it was, or we'd be like high.
The O's are what you need in it, though.
Yeah.
Yes, the O's are
They cut it with something else, though.
They do.
They do.
To save money. A lot of nitrogen.
As I mentioned, we're going to talk about 1980s tropes. And I guess the first thing we need to establish is, what is a trope? And I think I mentioned this earlier on, maybe it was like 3 hours ago, whenever we started recording, that it's a little hard to nail down, I think. And I asked our friend George, who Kat mentioned, or maybe didn't mention, maybe that wasn't in the show. I don't know. I think it was. I don't know. It was so long ago.
It was.
Who also happens to be, our go-to film expert and screenwriter, George. What I wanted to say was, even speaking with our friend who's an expert, it was hard to nail down. But it's kind of that, what was it, Justice Potter, who said about obscenity or porn, I know it when I see it.
You'll know when you see it.
Yeah, so it's kind of like that.
Yeah,
we all sort of know what a trope is, but this is a definition offline. It's an element of a story that's shared with many other similar stories. That doesn't tell us very much. It's commonly overused.
I was wondering about that. I was wondering if the overused aspect was actually part and parcel with being a trope, or whether you could have a not overused trope. I think of them as overused.
Well, you said overused. I guess when you said overused, I thought a negative connotation, like it was done poorly.
Oh, I'm just thinking of it as you lean upon it because it's like a shorthand. That's right. It's easy. It's the easy road to take, right? Yes. Oh, let's just do that because it's a shorthand kind of thing.
Yes. You know what, John? Yes. So in that sense, it has to be overused to create that connection. Otherwise, you wouldn't have a shorthand unless we created that vocabulary.
Right, sure.
By overusing it. Or using it multiple times. Maybe not overusing it, but certainly.
The word stereotype comes into my head a little bit with this too. Like when there's like different things attached to it that, may or may not be there. I'm not quite sure.
And when they're character driven, I think it's less stereotype and more like archetype almost. Like just tune that a little bit, you know what I mean? Yeah. But and they're not all character driven, obviously. I mean, you mentioned, one, it was Han Solo, the roguish guy, but some of these tropes aren't characters, but situations or behaviors or things, right?
This definition on Wikipedia is: a trope is an element of film semiotics, which I had to look up what that meant, that connects denotation and connotation. So, we're talking about shorthand again. That something suggests something that carries with it sort of all this baggage of meaning that we don't have to tell you because we've seen this before.
Right. The way a symbol the way a symbol works.
Oh, right, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, what we could do now is going forward, we could just go to ChatGPT and give me a comprehensive definition of trope, and they're just going to give me a paragraph, and then you'd be set.
Yes. So look, our list of tropes that we're going to talk about, some were gathered from internet sites, like I mentioned, including Flavor, Wire, Comic Book Resources, Distractify, and Collider, and some were provided by our good friend, who I already mentioned, film expert and screenwriter George.
And our friends at Giant Freaking Robot.
Crumple.
And as I mentioned earlier, we're going to also talk about the tropes that you provided to us on social media.
Yeah.
All right. So, hey, I've got a list here, and my hope is that in discussing these, let's talk about, examples of them. Let's talk about whether they were good or bad. Let's talk about whether we still see them in films or should be something that should be brought back if it only was, predominant in the 1980s. But instead of just going through this list, this is what I thought we would do. I'm going to provide you with either a list of movies or characters. And because this might be hard, let's not even make it a game. We played the game already. I'm going to provide you with a list of movies or characters, and you see if you can, extrapolate from that the trope that sort of connects them.
Cool.
So we're looking for the common denominator in tropeness of these things.
Yes. Okay. And again, a lot of these were very popular in the 1980s. I'm sure you've seen them in other decades, but in the 1980s, they were very common. Okay. First one here. There's a list of films here. Big Business, Dead Ringers, The Barbarians, The Corsican Brothers.
So what if maybe we haven't seen most of those movies? Maybe one of us.
I've seen a couple of them, but I don't know if it's enough to draw parallels.
I could give you one other, but the title of it alone will give it away.
Oh.
Okay.
All right. The final film I'll tell you is Twins.
Okay. Well, I have an idea then. I had a suspicion based on the Corsican Brothers, though I didn't know the other ones. So. Okay. So do you have theories, Kat? Do you have any?
No. I just told you the answer pretty much.
Is it about twins?
They all have twins.
Well, really? Well, that was shallow. I thought it had to do with, siblings who were separated at birth and then brought back together with different situations.
Wait
or
a
something,
second.
Let's
see, Big Business does, Twins does, Corsican Brothers does. I don't know about the other two. Twins separated. You know what? That's a better one, John. I'm going to edit it to make it sound like I said that. I'm going to cut out Dead Ringers and Barbarians, and then here's a clean recording of it. Twins that were separated at birth. You got it right. Oh, you want to? Wait, you said it right. So yeah, I don't know. Look, I'm sure there were Twins movies before and since, but in a span of 10 years, that's already 7 or 8 movies I mentioned, 6 or 7 movies. That was a lot of Twins. I don't know what why there was a resurgence of, or a surgence. It's not a resurgence. That suggests a prior surgence. A surgence.
Surgence.
Oh, no.
Of films in the 1980s.
I love that soda.
Surgence? I like the orange version. I don't know. Did you care for any of these films? Most of them were. This might tell.
Twins.
Yeah.
Yeah. Twins as a concept is always a curiosity for people, right? It's always like, whoa, you're a twin, or look at those twins. Like it's always an attention grabber,
right?
In most situations, so I would think it would lend itself towards grabbing attention in a film.
The direction I was going with it really was, Kat, like I said, like siblings who were separated. It's one of those shorthand things that say, okay, how can we get these two characters that have no relation to one another to, as soon as they meet, have an instant bond that they must deal with, right? You could meet someone randomly, and if they're not your estranged twin or sibling or whatever, you could just write them off. But you're like, damn it, you're my brother. I got to deal with this. It bakes in stakes and a connection to people that otherwise might not have met. So that's why I thought you were going with the separated angle. But
right. Yeah.
But you're right in a sense that I haven't considered that aspect of the trope, John, that the shorthand is this familial relationship that folks can relate to, that even if you were separated, it's still my kin.
Yeah.
So,
or hate one another. You despise one another. Like, but you're my sister. Okay. And it's one of those things is like, it transcends your behavior.
Yeah.
And it gets the backing of the other character just because of genetics.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. And you're right. And certainly in Big Business, Twins, I think in the Corsican Brothers, there was another one that just came to mind that I just forgot for a moment here. There is tension between these.
Exactly.
Actually, I was thinking of Zorro the Gay Blade, which is a hilarious early 80s film, where Zorro and his twin brother comes to help him. Okay. And okay. All right, cool. All right, hey, here is, I'm saying this is an easier one for you guys, I think.
All right.
Friday the 13th, Meatballs, Troop Beverly Hills, Little Darlings, Sleepaway Camp, Space Camp, Ernest Goes to Camp.
Oh, there's a camp.
That's right.
I was stuck on Friday the 13th, and you got to Sleepaway Camp, and I'm like,
I'm trying to give them tried giving those in an order that wouldn't give them away until
I thought you were going. It's the trope that when you have sex, you're going to die.
But
several films didn't have that because I'm like, well, it doesn't fit. Now I got to reevaluate.
Well, it may be true. I've never seen Ernest Goes to Camp. Maybe he is killed.
It could be. Well, Ernest kind of threw it for me. Yeah, but in general, in horror films, if you have sex, you're going to die. It's just
then you're a target.
Ask Kevin Bacon.
Yes.
Oh,
that's right. You're right. There's a whole horror genre.
He can't answer, by the way.
Right, Gurgle. There's a whole horror movie tropes. We could do a dozen. Action films, a dozen tropes. Right. You're right. So this is kind of cross genre, but
okay.
But
is camp a trope though?
Well,
I mean, that's like a
again. Look, I don't know.
Sure,
it is
maybe.
Apparently, it is.
But
I think. But look, the built-in sort of baked-in thing is youth, naivete, coming of age. Being away from home, a sort of independence, a pseudo.
Gotcha.
Right. There's like a, not a vision quest, but there's an adventure. You're not in your home base. Not in your
the camp
place.
experience is what you're talking. Not that I'm at camp, but that commonality of, Well, a taste of independence. I get it. Yeah.
Well, and
wacky things can happen.
And that's the whole thing about the trope, right? Is the being at camp brings all of these other things to it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's not as simple as the one thing. The one thing is, whatever.
Lowering of inhibitions, right? Experimentation.
Yeah. Again. Yeah. Exposure. Yeah.
Again, Ernest Goes to Camp.
Right, exactly. Oh, yes. Oh my gosh. Yeah. This is the darkest of the Ernest films. I've never been to camp, so my only experience in camp was mostly 80s, I guess entirely 80s films then. Yeah.
Right. I've
Spoiler
also never
alert.
been. Oh,
When it's
go
Boy
ahead.
Scout camp, it's not that experience.
No. Not a sexy romp.
No, not much. I mean, unless you get, merit badges really do it for you. Otherwise, no.
Yeah.
You should hear some of the stories my husband says about Boy Scouts.
Oh boy.
Oh, yeah.
He was crossing the lake.
This one's a little trickier here. I'm going to give you I'm going to just keep naming films.
Okay.
This is tricky though. I'm going to tell you it's tricky right
Until
away.
we get
but
it
I think
right.
this is an interesting trope from the 1980s. Common thing in 80s films here. Teen Witch, Beetlejuice, Top Gun, Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
Wait. Pause. You have a lot to read. I got to process.
Yeah.
Teen Witch, Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
Beetlejuice.
Okay, I'm getting there.
Gun.
Okay.
So I have an idea, Kat. Can we start with a nugget of an idea?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
The nugget of the idea has to do with the young person involved in what's going on here.
Okay.
Because I'm thinking of Beetlejuice is,
Okay.
and Teen Witch is the young girl involved in this supernatural thing. Okay, go ahead.
Sure.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
Huh. Well, these aren't going to help then.
Okay.
Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom.
Recalibrate.
History of the
Hey, there's
World Part 1. We were just talking about that.
Oh, wow.
Roger Rabbit.
Oh, my.
Big. Batman. You're never going to get this. Back to the Future.
I'm so cute.
Did I mention Risky Business already?
No.
I don't know.
All right.
So,
yeah, you guys are.
Is there something entrepreneurial? Wait.
like alternate identity
This is a
in
tricky
there?
one.
Is it? Oh, wait. Is it a party when your parents are gone?
Oh, it's getting closer to it. There's a particular
There's
type of scene that all of these have that seems like almost out of nowhere, or
Sex
it's
on a train?
It's contrary to the genre of the film.
Spontaneous musical number?
That's it! Holy crap!
Daylight come on me
That's
one
it,
go
John.
home.
Yes.
Fun.
All of these have a misplaced musical number. Certainly
Yeah.
misplaced or spontaneous, when you think
Yep.
about the film.
Yep.
Then.
It's not a
my-
musical, basically, right?
Wait.
It's not a
Yeah.
musical, and bang, bang, bang. Yeah.
The volleyball scene then.
No,
That's right.
No.
No.
The scene in the bar where they sing that song.
Oh,
what is
where
it?
they're actually.
You've lost that love and
that's
feeling.
Right. Oh, my.
Which
right,
I
'cause
would
they're
argue
not
that wasn't a
singing during
musical
volleyball.
number. They were doing that in character, in reality. They were breaking into song, but still, the trope fits. The trope fits.
Wow.
Yeah, but
This
Nice
is the
work.
category where I was able to come up with the most films for this trope. Why that is,
Yeah.
I don't know, but I don't
Misplaced musical number.
I don't know that we have this so much anymore.
where did I put that musical number? I just had it.
It would be great if you and John just broke out a song. I'd probably have a heart attack.
He misplaced it though.
Oh, he
We can hear
misplaced it.
Yes.
We can't hear it.
Here it is.
Day. He said Dale.
All right, here's another one here. So misplaced. Look, some of these films.
Where did I put that damn musical at?
You'll find it. Maybe by the end of the show. Some of these, look, they're endearing. I love the opening, the Temple of Doom. They only had that in there because I think it was Spielberg who wanted to do this. What's that guy's
The Busby Berkeley thing?
Yeah, they wanted to do a Bugs. What you said, number. And I love that opening.
And I completely forgot about that.
That guy number.
But all of these I think are. I think they work for the most part. Some of them seem a little, I don't know. Ferris Bueller breaking out into the lip syncing to the Beatles. I don't know. That was kind of
Right. Twist and shout. Yeah.
The Teen Witch rap, Kat and I have talked about on a prior episode. That is horrible. It's just
Oh my goodness.
thing to get
Right.
through.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
We got there, Kat. It took 17 films, but we got there.
You. I was in your tailwind.
All right, here's another one here. All right, here.
Did you see my musical number? I lost
Look,
it. Was it behind me there?
John, I ready.
Did I drop it?
Put a thing on the internet. Put a sign up on a pole outside your house,
Have you seen this musical number?
and staple it over a missing kitten.
Lost.
Wait,
All right,
did you
here's
say
one.
kitten or kid? What did you say?
Either, whatever's there, rip it down. Guitar lessons.
Right.
This is important. All right, here you go.
Drummer needed.
18 again. Big. Vice
easy.
versa.
Done.
Oh.
All right.
It's either body swap or old to young.
That's right, body switching. Yeah, I had on here also like father, like son, dream a little dream. Chances are, yeah, body switching.
Okay.
Big isn't a body swap, is it? It's just a DH.
Yeah, it's yeah. I mean, in a sense, it is. Yeah,
It's age out of water, not on your own body kind of thing. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, I get it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't.
It's certainly in the same milieu. Yes.
Again, we've had these films in other misplaced body,
Misplaced my body.
and this trope has been another, decade certainly. But again, there's a concentration in the 1980s. I don't know why.
Mm-hmm.
Was Freaky Friday on your list?
No, but that was what we had a recent version of it, and I think prior to that it was like a 70s.
Neither of them were the 80s. I think it was the 60s and then the noughts. I think, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But and I guess what is the shorthand there? I guess we could look, when it's going old to young, we know what it's like to be young because we're all. If you're old enough to see that film, you've been young enough to understand that.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess we've also all had the fantasy of wishing for a do-over or wishing we were in someone else's shoes or. So once you just say someone switched, I think we can kind of relate to that fish out of water experience or the good, the pros that come along with it.
Well, I think it's an evolution of the Prince and the Pauper ultimately, right? Which is I have this role, and that's well predates Freaky Friday or anything.
Sure.
Right? Because I have this role, you have that role, and the grass is always greener. I wish I was that, or I wish you were this,
Yeah,
and body swap is a fun way to do that with actors getting, doing the face-off thing where I act like I'm that, actress or actor kind of thing, which is great. But it has its roots in that kind of like mythology or I don't know what you call it, but classic storytelling.
It's rarely that actor switching thing is rarely done well, right? Those actors like remember it was what was it? The Judge Reinhold has to act like a young Fred Savage or something. They're always adults acting like how they think kids would act or something.
Yeah.
Anyway, all right.
Frankly, Face Off did it best. Really, I mean, they actually studied one another.
Is that right?
Yeah, you didn't see Face Off?
Oh no, yeah. We say done it best is what I'm questioning, or that they studied each other. I didn't know that they did that.
Oh, yeah. The impressions that Travolta and Cage had of one another were that they weren't constant, but there was enough little glimmers of like, oh, that's almost him. Like you almost did it. And they're not impersonators or actors. I think they did a great job.
That's very cool. All right, I realize we're taking a long time to talk about these, but I want to talk about some more. All right, here's an easy one. E.T., Mac and Me, Starman,
An Alien,
Flight of the Navigator. That's close to it. The Last Starfighter. There's a little more of a nuance to it.
UFOs,
Alien Nation. I mean, you're
An Alien Friend.
Yes, that's it.
Right. Like a sidekick.
Yes, that's it.
Yay!
I have Alien Friend / sidekick on here right now. Yeah.
I think Louis Gossett Jr. might argue with on the sidekick angle, but yes, an Alien Friend certainly.
I didn't mention that film.
Oh, you didn't? I thought
I had it on here, but I took it off actually for that very reason.
For that reason, because they're not a sidekick.
You're talking about Enemy Mine, with Dennis Quaid.
Oh, Enemy Mine. What did I say? Alien
Nation.
Totally
No, that's the James. But, you would probably make a similar comment for that one though too.
Yeah,
right.
I was thinking of Enemy Mine. Yeah,
James Caan and Mandy Patinkin are at odds till the end of the film.
Yep.
So,
sure.
Look, I guess 80s as a throwback to the 50s had a resurgence of an interest in sci-fi films featuring aliens because that was big in the during that the 50s, 30 years earlier. So I guess it's no surprise that. My Favorite Martian was a really popular show, so let's just do that a dozen times in the movies, basically. Have different takes on it, but I don't know what the shorthand is necessarily, except that...
That's interesting. What is the shorthand? What do you... It's a trope. I don't know. Is there a shorthand?
I think for me, it just... If we're talking about something that denotes a connotation or whatever it says, the connotation for me is this mixture of anxiety and fear and
fascination,
fascination,
and curiosity,
that I think I would experience had I met an alien. Yeah, and a lot of these, certainly some of these characters are they're lonely and longing for companionship. So that sort of mix, So I guess baked into that, like E.T., Mac and Me, Flight of the Navigator, batteries not included, baked into that idea that. That combination again, you're longing for connection, and then the connection is with this thing that you're afraid of, or this creature.
And there's a nugget of the unknown. There could be danger. You just don't know.
Yeah, right.
That's in there too, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's potential for
It's
that.
an unknown quantity like that you're making a
Absolutely.
connection with that's not of this planet. Yeah.
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 That's why the grown-ups are always so against it.
Right. All right, let's see. Much more interesting ones on here. All right, here's a little tricky one, but this seemed to be common in the 1980s, as confirmed by George. This is one of the ones that George offered us. Mm-hmm. And if you listen, you'll know what I'm talking. You'll recognize these characters.
All right.
Some of them, whatever. It's not that hard.
Do it to us.
Okay.
I appreciate your faith in me.
Tom and Katie Bueller, George and Lorraine McFly, Clark and Ellen Griswold.
Clueless parents.
That's
Yeah,
right.
They're the parents. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, George had pointed out to me, and he helped with some of these other ones that I mentioned already too, I'm pretty sure. But this one, I specifically remember our conversation about in the 80s, he said at one point you had either absent or ineffective parents. And then in a different time in the 80s, you had overly strict parents.
Okay.
Sure.
Later in the 80s, we had, was it Kurtwood Smith play the father in Dead Poets Society, who was... He didn't want his son to be an actor so badly. He hated that so much for him. He's going to send him to military school,
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But but before that, we had these parents that were just sort of so aloof or out of picture or off screen, weren't aware of what their kids were doing. Probably any of the parents of the Breakfast Club kids fell into either of those categories.
Yeah. Well, that's probably because the films were centered around the teen protagonist. And if their parents were effective, they would have thwarted their efforts, most certainly. Right?
Right.
So you had to have these parents that were like, what's going on? I didn't realize. That way the story can unfold. Right?
Yeah,
imagine if Ferris Bueller's parents.
right.
Ferris Bueller's parents were competent. None of that would have happened.
That's true.
You're not sick. Go to school. The movie's over.
You remind me. I swear, I think one time I tried to fake my sickness to get out of going to school.
Oh.
Yeah.
And
How'd that go?
I'm trying to remember what it was. Like I didn't do whatever he does, like a light bulb to his forehead. I think I tried that, but the heat didn't last for very long.
Yeah.
But I did something else. But right away, my parents were like, "Wait, did you just whatever?" It's like, yeah.
Oh, they saw right there.
Yeah. Oh, yes. Immediately.
I heated up a thermometer one time. Hot water, and it worked.
It did? And then you would quickly put it in your mouth and say, "Oh."
Did you burn your tongue in the thermometer?
Yeah.
Served you right.
Ugh, I don't remember that happening.
She set it on the stove for 10 minutes, and then she put it in her mouth.
I wonder if any part of this is the outgrowth of our era, our decade, our youths being, sort of the resurgence, not resurgence, the surgence of latchkey kids, That began a little bit earlier than that, but really the 80s was really that, a boom of kids without parents, at home being unattended for hours. Yeah.
Yep.
All right. Hey, here's another one here. Let's see if we can. Weird Science. Revenge of the Nerds. Can't Buy Me Love.
Geeks? Nerds?
A little more nuanced than that.
More nuanced, yeah. Team,
Nerds discovering their sexuality?
That's probably that's definitely true.
Right in there.
That's not what I was looking for. But
okay. All right. You have more?
Geeks reigning supreme? Like,
I'm trying to think. I don't have any more written down. I'm trying to think off the top of my head. No, what I was looking for was the nerd gets the girl.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I was super close. I was super close.
You were very close. All right, here you go.
Yeah.
Yes, that's right. You both got it right. Yeah, there you go.
I got partial credit for me.
Partial credit. I'll just play part of the sound and I'll cut it off.
Okay. Dun, dun. That's worse than not playing it at all.
That wasn't even 50%. That was like 10%.
Right. Discovering sexuality doesn't mean you get the girl. So.
Right.
Well, you get her for a little bit.
And some of these, they got it through criminal means, like Revenge of the Nerds. I mean, some of that stuff's really shady.
Yeah. Oh, that's right.
Just straight up sexual assault. And I'm trying to think if at the time I saw these, I thought it was encouraging, like, all right, yeah, I could be a nerd and get a girl.
No, that's a movie.
Yeah, and
it's escapism. That's the only place it happens.
Yeah, there you go. I'm trying to think if there's any of these tropes that I'd want to rescue from the 1980s and still see. An adorable alien or an alien's best friend or sidekick. Sure. We could still do that.
Oh yeah.
The rest, I don't know. We could.
I feel like we have. I feel like I can't think of one, but it feels familiar.
Yeah. That's probably one that's survived, and probably because it's
Stranger Things.
Right. Except
right? D'Artagnan.
Strange.
We had
Oh,
D'Artagnan
yeah, well,
in
yeah.
season 2.
Yeah, I guess.
What was
yeah.
it? I guess it's not quite an alien, but it's
No, that would-
a alien entity.
I agree,
That was
yeah.
his buddy, his sidekick.
I think that,
kind of
and
thing,
they were
you know?
definitely doing like an ET thing in that.
Yeah, very
true.
D'Artagnan-y.
That's true.
Yeah, a little bit, a little bit.
All right. How about, let's do a couple more here. Monique, I want to give you a character. Let's do one or two where I'd give you some characters here.
Okay.
Oh boy.
Monique in Better Off Dead. That's Diane Franklin's character.
Oh,
Okay.
got it.
And I only have one other for you.
You
Got
have
it.
already.
Watts in Some Kind of Wonderful. That's the
Oh.
Mary Stuart Masterson character.
is this the hot girl that appears to be hot except she's wearing glasses and frumpy?
What?
I have that down. That's a different one, but
Is it a different one?
yeah,
Okay,
it's a different one. This is a little.
I don't know. I don't know.
All right,
the
this is
characters,
the tomboy / girl who can fix cars.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
That
my
almost some of those fall in the same category, don't they? Though.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So,
I demand a partial. Dun, dun. Perfect. Thank you.
so yeah, there weren't a whole lot of examples I could come up with this, but we definitely had that in the 1980s. I don't think we've had it since,
Yeah.
and that's fine. And it's not that girls couldn't or women couldn't be, able to
Right.
fix cars. It was just it became a trope, you know,
Yep.
and I guess it was a shorthand for I don't know what, maybe that the woman was more than, in a good sense, it was more than what we would had expected from other films, for the
That's right. Right. Don't assume my capabilities based on my gender because you don't know
Right.
me. Yeah.
Mhm.
And maybe
Not
the
in a
reason
box.
I can only think of two examples is that 80s was very much a get in the box kind of
Right.
you know,
Right. Yeah.
storytelling.
Yeah.
And then, well, so John, you already, you already figured, you guessed this trope about the makeover. We call it the Hollywood makeover. And
The irony of those is that those young ladies are already attractive. They aren't like stereotypically Hollywood attractive with,
Right.
makeup and big hair.
Yeah.
They just happen to have glasses and wearing their hair up or whatever. So they take their hair down like, oh, and it's like the L'Oreal moment. All of a sudden you're like, oh, she was hot all along.
Yeah.
She was. You just didn't see it is all it
Right.
was. It's irony there. Yeah.
and I didn't think of this until I read a little bit about this particular trope, the Hollywood makeover. And it was one George had suggested as well, was that in terms of these particular examples I'll give you, that it's really kind of, you're already alluding to it, but it's really kind of, I don't know, sexist and misogynistic. Allison in Breakfast Club, that's Ali Sheedy's
Right.
character.
Right.
Judd Nelson doesn't like her until she goes from, goth to wearing a pink dress or whatever it is and a bow in her hair.
Right. Right. As if physical attractiveness is validation,
Yeah.
which it clearly isn't.
Defines her
but
value. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Or fitting what society at the moment is saying is
Yeah.
the way to look.
Yep.
Yeah.
a slightly different version is Iona, Annie Potts' character in Pretty in Pink, where, we're led to believe at least she's older than them, although I don't know if she could be much older than they are.
Yeah.
That she's this middle-aged woman who, she dresses really fun at this record store and she's quirky, but it's like only later in the film when I don't remember why, she suddenly dresses her age and she's like in, an 80s sort of middle-aged,
Yeah.
like pantsuit that
Yeah.
now she's being respected and, seen.
Yeah.
It's like
Huh.
you have to wear age-appropriate attire. I don't know what the message is there, but.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
All right, let's do one more because I think that might be 10 and then we could say it's 10. All right.
Yeah.
Woohoo.
All right. This
That
is.
sounds like a thumbnail right there.
Yeah, there you go. Let's see. Which is the Tootsie Bosom Buddies.
Drag.
Yes.
That's good. Yeah. I'll do that.
Cross dressing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Gender. I was looking. Yeah, gender swapping. Yeah.
Gender
Gender, right,
swapping.
Because I was going to mention
Right.
also just one of the guys, Victor Victoria, if you remember that film.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yentl.
Yeah.
Oh, right. Yeah.
So yeah, this was another thing that was big in the 1980s, was to have characters swap gender for one reason or another. Most often, maybe in all these examples, to take advantage of a system, right?
Yes.
Mrs.
like the
Doubtfire?
deception. Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's a 1990s movie, but yes, right, exactly.
We're counting it.
Yeah.
It's Robin Williams. He counts.
All these characters are trying to game the system, to get some kind
Yes.
of
Oh, yeah.
advantage.
Yes,
Yeah.
they're using deception to
Yeah.
make something happen. Yeah.
And, I don't know. I was trying to make I was trying to see if I could make an observation with regard to, at least with these examples I provided, which way Tootsie, a man dresses like a woman to get, this is kind of, it's like, this is so funny. A man dresses as a woman because the message is, I guess, it's hard for men to get jobs. It's hard for short white men to get jobs in this town. Why does anybody care about my needs? I'm going to dress as a woman. That's what that film is about.
Yeah. But in Bosom Buddies, they dressed as women to get an apartment, I think,
Yes,
right? They were living in an
right.
all women's apartment.
Yes.
They worked as men
Right.
and then came home as women, basically, right?
Yes.
And then they would dress as men and date some of the women that lived there.
Yeah. In the apartment building, right?
that was-
Yep.
yeah. Hilarity ensues.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah, so they're all trying to game a system. I think that's sort of similar to the body switching thing in the sense that, you know, what would it be like to be in the other person's shoes? We can kind of maybe imagine or relate or fantasize about that. And the lesson to be learned is there's some, you know, there's a lesson to be learned or, you know, there's a downside to it. It's not all
Sure. Yeah.
benefits and perks. All right. Hey, there's that. All right. So there's a list. There's others, but whatever. Go look them up yourself.
That was fun.
Okay,
I like
cool.
that.
Yeah. So look,
It
here's
was fun.
and let's see. Here's some of the ones that folks on social media suggested to us. Gavin said he loves a good training montage. Obviously
Even
popularized
Rocky
by,
had a montage.
popularized by Rocky and some other great ones: Karate Kid, Kickboxer, Bloodsport, etc. In one of the coolest comments we got, the Maxell Corporation, Kat's a favorite. She's constantly communicating with them on Twitter. But Maxell said their favorite trope is a boombox outside the window.
Yes.
Not surprisingly, of course. We've all made mixtapes on Maxell tapes. Let's see, Green Blood 67 writes, I'll be back. We're going to need a bigger boat. I guess he's referring to the sort of one-liners of the era.
Yeah.
Diane
Eat
writes,
my shorts.
not really a trope, but as much as I can say, no, this is interesting because you're just talking about Robin Williams. Not really a trope, but as much as I can say that Robin Williams movies are brilliant, I detested that they were all advertised as the comedy romp of the year starring the wacky Robin Williams. Fisher King, Dead Poet Society, and The World According to Garp are not fun, not comedy, and not romp.
Right.
True.
That is true.
Yeah.
I mean, they're trying to get butts in seats. I mean, what they're doing.
Yes.
It's come see Mork. That's what they're basically.
I mean, it's none of it. It's not comedy and it's not a romp. It's just like it's a total misadvertising, right?
Craig writes, the bad guy relents at the last minute. It is the first one to congratulate the hero. It was awesome when it happened in The Karate Kid, but when every damn villain had to have their "you're all right, LaRusso" moment, I got sick of it. I don't remember that happening in many other.
You know one that I hate is monologuing.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
Oh, yeah. Right.
Right.
Oh.
When the bad guy has the
Yes.
protagonist on the
Yes.
ropes and goes,
Yes.
and now, Mr. Bond, I will explain my devious plan to you. I'm sure you won't escape and thwart me later.
Right. Yes.
Just kill him when you had the chance.
Yeah.
Don't try to prove how
That's
smart
true.
you are to the guy that's been after you. Oh,
It's an uncreative way of getting exposition.
yeah. It's like, oh, now I know the full plan. So,
Yeah.
and that's always like leading into the third act, right? It's like, okay, well, now we have a full picture of what the bad guy's doing so we can totally take
Right.
care of it.
Yeah. Right.
Yes.
And,
Yes.
You know,
Even I can notice when that's
Yeah.
happening.
cat.
To die.
It's bad self-talk or whatever they say.
It's okay. I own it. Every movie I watch,
Yeah.
it's like fresh, you know, like I don't see
Like you've never
tropes
seen it
very
before?
well.
Oh, okay.
I don't, not that I don't recognize any patterns, but tropes to me are like, oh,
It's always new. And
yeah.
That's good.
And I'm fine with that.
that's great.
The nerd did get the girl. That's never happened before.
That's novel. Brad writes, I love the storylines with strong women leads like Aliens and Terminator, not the damsel in distress tropes. There were plenty of nerdy guys tropes in the 80s, which were just a wash and repeat of the underdog tropes too. What a snore. I must confess, though, I did like the Some Kind of Wonderful trope, though. Can we get a nerdy/cool girl trope, please? Please bury the big hair, cheese bands, any of the remaining Aquanet groupies, and all the bullshit macho energy tropes in a small container of Tang.
Wow.
Really?
He had his thoughts together.
He had this. This was locked.
I'm gonna predict that if that was posted on Facebook, there was a little parenthetical edited next to it because you couldn't get that perfect the first time.
I like to look to that history of that
Yeah.
in the time, like if time stamped.
Right.
Andrew writes, the exaggerated stereotypical nerd that eventually devolved into the abomination that is Urkel.
Oh,
Oh,
Yeah, I guess
Wow.
Urkel is taking that pocket protector till it's nth
to
degree,
the nth degree.
as
Yeah.
far as it
Yeah.
will go.
yeah.
I suppose. Yeah.
Oh, Lucy hits on what we were sort of alluding to earlier. She writes, I'll hate the nerd who gets the girl through rapey persistence enough for us all. Oh, yeah.
Oh, yes.
But the flip side, though, Kyle writes after a strong. Oh, no, Kyle's not advocating for sexual assault. I just realized. I realized we're both sides.
On the flip side, Kyle's cool with it.
Kyle writes from prison. On Instagram, Kyle wrote, after a strong start, tragic middle, and pleasant ending, the nice boy gets the girl like Can't Buy Me Love. It gave me hope. It still does.
Aww.
Well,
Jens just writes
that's
robots.
not the way the world works.
And Cheryl writes wax on, wax off.
All right.
I wonder if she's alluding to the the trope that is you're going to learn something by doing something else. I mean, that's the
It's
trope.
going to translate into.
Yeah.
Which we did
Where else
see.
have you seen that though? I can't think of other instances of that mapping of a skill onto an unexpected skill.
Yeah, that's the gold standard there.
Now, I think I've mentioned this before. In real life, I've done that with my kids. Like I've had them like take the trash out. I say, pick it up like this and then put it into the bag. And then later in the day, I say, show me, take out the trash. And I swing at them, see if they block it.
And clocks them. They're out cold.
That's amazing.
You should have taken out the trash a few more times.
Yeah. All right. Hey, that is mostly the show. Don't go. There's a little more show left.
Well,
this is just how we do the thing. Okay. For anyone who's just joining us. So there you go. All right.
all of our shows are brought to you every week, except for the past month, thanks in part to our early adopters like Kathy Burke, Rick Parker, and Karen Flieger.
Yeah.
And thank you especially to our Secret of Our Success Level Patreon supporters like John Henderson, Craig Coletta, Marcus Taylor, and Tony Great.
Great, yes.
Also, there's other ways to support us, maybe by supporting our egos, because sometimes people like Spun Counter Guy say things like this.
Ooh.
Well, I truly love y'all's podcast. And he said that. He said y'all's.
I like it. Yep.
Like I said, it's a great way to relive those years and to find out more in-depth things that were going on that maybe we didn't know at the time, all the details behind it. And the three of you have a great rapport, perfect balance. Also, he encouraged me to use that to argue with the company and the bosses on why I should get a raise.
You know what? We're going to double your salary, Kat. I'm telling you right now.
You said all three. Which three is he talking about? I'm just curious.
One, two.
All three? What? Wait, what?
I don't know when this was written.
It was yesterday.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, thank you then. Thanks so much.
Yesterday. You're included in our magic number here.
I don't know. It could have been an email from 2 years ago when I wasn't here.
It's fresh. This is fresh off the Instagram.
Ooh.
And yeah, stroking our ego is the most important, Kat. So yeah, that's good. Speaking of maybe
We'll take it.
Stroking our ego and maybe asterisks, I'll say. Stroking our ego asterisk. We also received an email just while we were on break with regard to our, what was this episode? You guys will remember what we were talking about. Oh, and he mentions it in an email. We got this email just right before we went on break, or right after, from somebody who asked me not to hold his name, not to share his name, although he allowed me to share this email because we had a really great exchange, and that's why I bring it up. But he wrote, I discovered your podcast a few months ago and have really enjoyed it. You guys do a great job. I was disappointed, however. Now I'm going to tell you guys, this is going to take a turn, but at the end, he's going to wrap up with some very positive comments. Okay.
Oh, great.
So it's a friendly email ultimately. I was disappointed, however, with your discussion of the television series Willow last month. I've not seen the television series. Consequently, I was hoping you'd delve into the details a bit to help me decide. But for some reason, you and your co-hosts decided to focus on a potential lesbian relationship while simultaneously announcing you, quote, can't wait until this story is not a story, end quote. Then don't make it one. I wish you had talked more about the broader story. So I'm going to pause there for a moment.
Was Willow even out yet? How would you talk about it if it had not yet been released?
Well, I think...
Why do you talk more about this show you haven't seen?
Yes.
I think it was just out. I think it was first, maybe first or second episode. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. And I had watched the first, I think it was one episode. I had watched it and you guys hadn't watched it. So we couldn't talk substantially about the merits of the show.
Yeah.
But I do think he makes a good point, at least with this idea that, we were lamenting that this is still a news story and one day it won't be. But in a sense, he's right. I mean, we were making it a news story. So I don't know how you get out of that, except that
Right. It's a good point.
I mean, I mentioned to him, and again, we had an email exchange. Is my point in bringing it up at all as a news story, because ultimately, I'm the one who brought it up, is to counter what I saw as a backlash against the show for having that type of romance.
Sure.
And so I feel like all that shit is out there where people are making it a news story in a negative way. We have to do our jobs and say, look, there's folks who feel our way too.
Yes. Yes.
And I'll own this. I'm the one that said, I said, I'll be so happy when this is not a story, when it doesn't matter what the sexuality is of characters or orientation or anything like that. It doesn't make any difference. I'm the one that said that. But first of all, I'll take the compliment that you perceive that 1980s Now is a news show. Therefore, if that counts as us making it news, thank you for that. But ignoring the fact that we're covering news that shows up in other news articles and other news outlets, right? And so to ignore it, something that we have an opinion on, won't make it go away.
Yeah.
As you said, Will, here's what someone said. Should we ignore it and not talk about it and let that be the only voice, the only opinion that's heard? I think there's a greater harm in ignoring it and not addressing it than there is echo chambering it and having it be elevating the hashtag so it's trending, but at least there's an opposing viewpoint. So
yeah. And you were letting us know how you were feeling and what you were thinking about it. You weren't trying to create any sort of separate news article. You were giving us your honest reaction. Yeah.
And again, this gentleman and I had a really productive exchange that went on beyond this email. And one of us mentioned, I think I mentioned to him, I think the exchange in itself was a good example of how folks, and by the way, he mentions he is for gay rights. He's for those things. He's not against these types of romances or relationships. He makes a different point. But that our exchange was, I think, an example of folks who have differing opinions of how something might be addressed can do it in a civil way, and But he also wrote, though, I was most disturbed. So that's a small thing.
No, that's not even the big deal.
He was most disturbed by your brief because we clarified. He thought he was writing to the person who did this, when ultimately I told him, no, it's John. You should write these to John at Gen Grown Up. So
here's his email.
Yeah, I did. I think I spelled it wrong when I did it, when I typed it.
Perfect. Thank you for that.
It was John. I don't know. But he said he was most disturbed by your brief but bigoted impression of those you believe to be, quote, anti-woke, end quote, replete with stale stereotypes and echoes of classism, as if objections to the series were rooted in homophobia. I did clarify to him, look, that's not what we were saying. We're not saying that.
What is this? Well, welcome to Walmart.
So yes, there he is.
It was the Walmart.
Yes.
It was the Walmart.
Yeah. So the Walmart character, I almost wanted to write back and say, look, John's from Florida. He can do these things. He's allowed.
Yeah.
These are his neighbors. This is his family. John has a little twang. It comes out more pronounced at different times.
I'll stand behind my impression too.
Yeah, it's
fine.
Yeah.
No, you know what? It is a stereotype, and it is one with which I relate. I am a redneck. I grew up on a dirt road, and I had to fight to lose that twang, to lose that stereotype. But it's in me. I still grew up in woods. I mean, it's just how it was.
And you just realize, John, it's a trope. I mean, it's a trope. It's a shorthand for saying, now maybe it's a bigoted shorthand in a sense.
Sure. Yeah. Right. Right. I'm not dropping epithets, though. I'm just saying, historically, people of this upbringing might be somewhat myopic to cultural norms and changes. Right. So,
Right.
Yeah. When somebody goes, are they gay? That kind of thing is like, I hear this. There's like a spin on it. It's like, you can say, is someone gay? But if someone comes from that background, they go, oh, they're gay. Like there's something on it, that's
a little stink on it.
It's loaded. It's loaded. And I hear that and I've lived that. So
you've experienced it. Yeah. It's
I remember you said the Willer.
The Willer. Y'all see a Willer?
You see the Willer? They're making the Willer queer.
Wheeler got the gay girls in the Wheeler.
But anyway, so look, ultimately, this gentleman wrapped this up saying, I don't want to be overly negative. Discovering your podcast was like finding buried treasure.
Buried treasure?
And I apologize. I didn't write in earlier to say how much I enjoy it. I hope you receive this as a sincere concern and not an effort to impugn your otherwise excellent efforts. Okay. Thank you so much. Yeah, and again, he and I exchanged a couple of emails, and we will raise your ire and encourage you to email us at some point next time. When we talk to you next time on 1980s Now.
Until next time.
I hope I'll be back.
This podcast is part of the 80s Ruled Network. Visit the 80s Ruled on Facebook for more 1980s awesomeness.